Hello everyone. I've got my frumpy reading sweater on, so it must be story time. Get yourself settled. What have I got today? Nice glass of water. Let me get the book. We'll get started. Okay, let me get my reading glasses here. And today's story is Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? By Dr Seuss. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries. And he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, and he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more. Oh, ever so much more. Oh, muchly, much, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bunglebung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay in Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful. A whole heaping lot. For the places and people, you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gayzik and got caught in the traffic on Zik Highway 8. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazer with your bedroom up here and your bathroom down there. Just suppose you're a poor Herbie Hart who has never taken his thromdibulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the gore fits into the scritch or the snore. Yes, ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart who has taken his thromdibulator apart. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Ali Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that old stingy uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in the hay is a piffluous pay of 2 duklas a day, and Ali can't live on such piffluous pay. So, he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays and grooves. How lucky you are. You don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his boyfriend to fix. It doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't seem right. But his boyfriend just seems to go slump every night. It slumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. And it takes him all day to unslump it. And then the night air comes back and it slumps once again. So, don't you feel blue? Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a boyfriend that slumps. And while we are at it, consider the schlots. The crumble-horned, web-footed, green-bearded schlots, whose tails are entangled in unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter. He has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at out west in Hotch Hotch. There's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch. Is to keep both eyes on a lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't a bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, the bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the Hotchers who live in Hotch Hotch are watching on watching watch. Watching, and the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hotch Hotcher. You're lucky, you see. And how fortunate you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pooglehorn players who have to parade down the Pooglehorn stairs every morning to wake the Prince of Pooh Broken. It's awful how often their poogles get broken. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make a shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky. Some people are muchly, oh muchly, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose you lived in that forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy. And you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish. You're not farming Falkenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky. You're not Gucky Gowan, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town, in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky. You're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Thank goodness for all the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone's forgot, and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. And that's why I say, ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh ever so much, so muchly much more unlucky than you. The end. Well, I think we're all very lucky. That sounded awful for some of those people, didn't it? Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. Now, take care of everybody, take care of yourself, and have a great day. Bye now.